Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome back to week number 2 of FRG's coverage of the F3A for 2024. That's also conveniently the title of the car's name as well, the F3A'24. Round 2 coming to you live from Motorland Aragon, all the way over on the Spanish Peninsula. And I tell you what, it is going to be an interesting race here tonight. She's wide, she's wild, she's tight, she's twisty, but also so much room to go racing. And this really feels like a home, a cultural home of Formula Racing in Europe. A little bit more, Dave, here. It's just going to be a good night, I think.
Yeah, it's a great little circuit, great big circuit.
Little's the wrong word.
It's a super circuit and really does suit this car. So I think we're going to see some great racing. It's nice and wide. There's a bit of overtaking room. And I've just poured myself a nice little Rioja to go with the night in Spain.
Well, the trip all the way over to Spain. This is what it looks like from the Google Earth camera images. And just to the southwest of Barcelona, due north of Valencia, all the way over on the eastern coast. There is lots of sun, lots of sand, and lots of nice beaches in that area, but you're going to have to go a couple hours to the east to find them. The circuit, there it is in all its glory. It is going to be 18 turns in a clockwise racing direction, over 5 kilometers in terms of circuit length here tonight, and opened in September 2009. Good circuit to open. It's fast, it's flowing, it plays host to a number of different styles of racing, including MotoGP yet again. So we're going to 2 MotoGP circuits back to back, and it's brilliant in terms of things. I love this little circuit. This is my second time commentating here. It creates great racing because you've just got so much room to maneuver around this track. Wide circuits with complex braking zones is really the characteristic of this circuit that makes it have that such an open style of racing.
Yeah, it's good long straight, big hairpin right at the end. That's going to be the scene of quite a few late dives, I think, down into turn 16. The other keys are turn 1's are really there's a lot of time in turn 1. Easy to make a lot of mistakes on here. You've got to use every inch of the track to be quick, and it's very easy to use an inch too much and get an off track. So it really does suck you into off tracks. I think qualifying is going to be really interesting. Now they've got 4 laps. They've got to get a banker in without making a mistake and then go for one to try and get a good time. I think we're going to see a few people fail to set a time. But turn 10, the big sweeper down the back, Marquez, it's named after Marc Marquez. That is absolutely flat, and we're going to see the guys sort of lining up behind, trying to stick in the toe, but they're also going to be pushing a little wide with lack of aero over the car. Great place. Really, I've done some laps here during the week in the car. Absolutely loved every lap.
Last week we saw the safety car interventions prevent us from really getting into a proper green flag pit stop style of cycle. It was about getting your head screwed on, being aware of when you needed to pit to make it home. Those were the keys. Yet again this week we're seeing the two Webbs return to the top of the table. Currently, as it stands in terms of qualifying, it is a full lap qualifying performance here tonight. Fixed setup racing here in the Silver Academy. And I tell you what, Dave, I nearly plugged the rig in last night, went for some extra laps, had to do some extra research, get some things out of the way. I was keen to just sort of test what these guys are up against. What can you tell me about the setup?
Well, I did it, so I can tell you a lot. It's pretty safe. It's got a little tendency for oversteer. I always try and set the car up with a little bit of front end on it so that you can get the car to turn in. There's nothing worse than a car that constantly understeers, but I don't want it to be loose. So it's a pretty stable setup, which because we've got a wide variety of capabilities there. Some really quick guys and some guys who are pretty new and a bit green in the field. So we want something that suits them all and that they all enjoy it. So far, so good.
Well, this was the championship standings. One race in the books. It was Aaron Cooper who took that one out to have his head switched on in terms of the pit lane strategy. Wade Sheedy from Jay Dixon, Jordan Mazzaroli and Jack Humphreys rounded out your top five. It was dominated that night by the two Webb brothers, Declan and Curtis Webb. Unfortunately, they got their strategies mixed up. Hopefully, they've done a little bit more research, a little bit more prep and planning, and perhaps they'll be better set up because they're on the front row yet again. Curtis Webb this time from Declan Webb is on your front row. We'll move it back to row number two. It'll be Jordan Mazzaroli off alongside of Reese Margetts. In terms of things, that'll be an interesting battle to keep an eye on. Josh Fitt on row number three off alongside of Wade Sheedy. Sheedy will be looking to protect P2 in the championship as it stands. Chris Ireland and Aaron Cooper. Can Cooper put 1 foot in front of his rivals here tonight, score a boatload of points? Jack Humphreys from Callum Newton round out our top 10. We'll throw it over the page to Luke Fitt and Jackson Pringle. Good to see Pringle back in business. Hopefully stays away from any bingles. Harry Lawrence and Aiden Kale, row number 7, Scott Lefferber and Leo Dreyer. Going to be row number 7. No, that was 7. I've missed myself out. That was row number 8. Row number 9, Philip Sanders and David Baz. We recovered. We've already recovered, David. And
10.
Jay Dixon and Max Fry rounds out our row number 10. We're going to throw it over to Callan Arthur and Tyler Blackburn, Leith Hardy and Chris Barnes, before we get back to Drew Collins and Jason Depp. Luke Hayden Millington, Robbie Griffiths, and James Chastanoff round out our field. Chastanoff not setting a lap, and Matthew Keane is going to be the final starter as well. Also failing to set a qualifying time, which is one of the keys that you talked about there. We are just moments away from going green flag racing for the second time for F3 Silver. It's going to be a 30-minute stoush. Who's going to come out on top from the hills of Aragon? And there was a great start from the inside. Marget's got a huge launch. He's already going to pull alongside Mazzaroli, and Mazzaroli's going to be back down to fourth. Is he going to get through on the inside? Will open it up, steals that third slot away. Fitt's going to get through in the background, but huge chaos at turn number 1 in the background, Dave. And it's going to be a long night for drivers that are locked together early on.
Yeah, there's plenty of time for that later. Get a room, boys.
Like a fine wine, David Roberts coming into his own here tonight, and already request to tie. That means we could have a potential for a safety car nice and early. It's off the track though, although not near a marshal post.
I don't think anyone's stuck on the track. I think my thought is we'll probably stay green, but yeah, I'm not in the steward's room, so I don't know. But I did see one car just lost the rear end in there. Whether he lost it of his own or whether he got a little nudge, not sure. But it was the pink car, and I can't think who it was. But yeah, they whipped around, and then that was chaos from there. But they'll sort themselves out. There's plenty of time to go. If there's a yellow flag, there's a lucky dog in this competition, so you get to get your lap back if you're down a lap. So you're not out of it yet.
Yep, but work to do, and I can tell you the fact there's two drivers already back in the pit lane. It's Jackson Pringle and Jay Dixon. So Pringle out of 12th.
It was Pringle that went round in turn 1. That was who I couldn't think of. Pringle had a bingle.
That's the easy line, isn't it? We're going to be walking that one out, I think, just about all season.
Yeah.
In terms of things, they've all managed to set down on lap number 1 as it currently stands, and Leith Hardy's actually just gone past a slowing Luke Fitt, who's had a dramatic lap number 1 as well. Callum Newton is at the tail end of the field. Some further drama's going on back there, but it's aggressive up at the pointy end of things at this point in time.
Pushing a bit wide there, but is that Philip Sanders and I don't know who's in front of Philip there.
Lefebvre. Yeah, so it was Sanders, you're 100% right. And for both of these drives, 15th for Lefebvre on the grid.
These guys have got to watch it. They're off tracks in front of us, and they only get 17 of them, Scott. So, you know, who knows? But there could be a lot of guys taking a drive-through.
Well, replay of the start going to come through, so we're going to be looking for that pink car, that pink and white car.
Pink car about five rows back on the right-hand side there. On the inside, you can see him there covering somebody. Now, has he got a tap here? No, he's just lost it. Just lost it himself, unfortunately. But the car in front of him lost it as well. That's Jay Dixon who's gone into him. That's a real pity. But Jay's all right. He'll sort it out. He'll get a lap back somewhere along the line.
Well, he'll have to keep the head down.
Oh,
and
another one round.
Yeah, and yep, more carnage.
That was Chastanoff, who's debuting with us tonight. Chastanoff is. It's his first event with us. Did a good job to qualify because a lot of the new guys really found the pace a little hot in pre-qualifying. But Jason did a really good job and got himself on the grid, but unfortunately hasn't started out well for him.
Yeah, well, Chris Ireland's had a reasonable start of things, is up 3 spots inside the top 4 to kick things off. That's a great start as it currently stands. Josh Fitz managed to hold position, but in the meantime, have a look at the man on the move. It's going to be Aaron Cooper, who's now down the inside of Josh Fitt on the run down the back straightaways as it currently stands. Championship leader, can he get down the inside and score some more points? Locked it up at the apex, contact with Fitz, turns him around, and now he's stuck and rolling. And there's a car on its lid on lap number 2, and here we go, Dave.
I think that will be a safety car, 1. And number 2 is I think Mr. Cooper will be getting some sort of penalty out of that because you can't just drive through a guy who's sideways in front of you.
Well, he's locked up. He was so deep on the run down to that hairpin. And all credit to Josh Fitt, gave him as much space as he possibly could. Yeah.
No, it wasn't anyone's fault. I mean, that's the nature of that corner. You just got to be careful. And if there's a guy sideways in front of you, we've got a safety car. If there's a guy sideways in front of you, you can't just drive through him. You know, you have to stop. So here, like they've come together, but then he's sideways. You can't just drive through like that. So I think you'll find he'll probably cop a penalty for that.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit more going on as well because already Jack Humphries has slowed up under this safety car trying to fuel save quite excessively. So this will be an interesting one.
I'd be surprised if they can fuel save enough to get to the end of this one because it's quite a fuel-hungry circuit.
Well, Aaron Cooper's probably going to have damage out of that incident. So
here comes our beautiful safety car with Lachlan at the wheel.
A roaring Mercedes, quite comfortable in that car. Albeit he's switched over to Porsche, I think, now as his preferred GT3 as it currently stands. But either way, he's had a lot of success in that Mercedes, so I know he's quite comfortable with the layout and the operation of that one.
I had to pick something I hoped he can drive.
And with wet tyres available, I think is the other key.
Oh, dear.
Now, I'm assuming that was picked because he required all the driving assists?
Yeah. No, to be honest, it was picked because it sounds good. You're going to have a safety car that sounds meaty. You know, like we used to have the Aston Martin, the GT4 Aston Martin, because it sounds fantastic. It looks great. A lot of guys into the pits. Okay.
Huge amount of strategy. Top 4 are going to come in. So Webb, Margetts, and P4 will be. Philip Sanders is also in, I believe, as well. So there's a bunch of cars that come in. Actually, I think Sanders has actually kicked on. I think he'll be the first car not to pit. Actually, it's Aidan Cale and Phil Sanders who are now going to lead the race. And
Hayden Millington as well.
We are 6 minutes into this race out of the 30, so 24 to go. It is a long track here, though, I think is probably the key, Dave. So if the safety car peels off at the end of this lap, even if they have to come back down for a splash, it will be a splash if they have to come for any fuel at all. And I got the feeling now, no one's going to want to lead this thing. We're going to end up with a fight to sit third, I think, maybe in the pack.
Yeah, I love the fact that it's all up in the air a little bit, rather than a foregone conclusion. I love the fact that it's up in the air and we're not quite sure what's going to happen and can they make it or can they not make it. I'm guessing that those guys think they can make it, because they would know their fuel numbers.
And we're going to get an opportunity to do the wave buys that we're already talking about, and safety car, we're doing one more lap. So I think at the conclusion of this lap, we'll go back green flag racing. Pack's not quite together as it currently stands. There's a couple guys that are way off the tail end of the pack as it does stand. But have a look at the drivers here that haven't pit. So strategy and the safety car playing relevance in the first 2 weeks of F3 Silver. And it's going to be Kale from Sanders, Hayden Millington, Chris Barnes, and Drew Collins all not pitting at the end of lap number 1. So that is going to be our top 5. And then from 6th place on back is all the guys that have pit. I think there are a couple more guys. Callum Newton didn't pit, but he's gained himself a fair chunk of track position. He's just not with the leaders. And I think there was a big backup that's caused that. Everybody else has pit. So we've got 6 cars here today that haven't pit.
I've only seen Josh Fitt go past in the Lucky Dog. I would have thought there'd be more than one car making up a lap. Oh, no, there are. There's Jay Dixon. So what they've got to do is drive like mad to try and get as far round to the back of the queue as they can before they go green. So they're not going to get all the way around. They'll get about half the way around. But then if there's another safety car, they'll be right on the back of the pack.
But at the same time, they're still relevant. Something happens now. They can claim some positions at the very least. And we did see 2 safety cars last time out. So there is all the potential to see another one, let alone I'm chomping at the bit to see what the server conditions are like for the Gold Boys a little bit later on. Although Aragon's a little bit drier than we were last time out at Magello.
Yes.
Magello's a little bit close to the ocean.
Yep. Perfect for growing red.
I do live in a lovely wine region, by the way, so I have been going out and sampling a lot of the local liquors and things. Dave, you might have to come down for a visit sometime.
Beautiful.
But in the meantime, it is going to be field under the control of Aidan Kale, and he is backing these guys up. One of the things I really, really appreciate is that we are holding a very consistent speed after last week. That was one of the debates I believe you guys had in the steward's office last week.
Yeah, so I'm just looking. So in 6th place there, the 6th car on the road, the green car there is Curtis Webb. He is the first of the guys who've already pitted. So we're riding on board with him now. So there's 5 cars in front of him that haven't pitted. He's got a lot of pace. I think he can get back through those 5. But he's, it's a battle to get through the guys here because there's this new F3 doesn't have a hell of a lot of slipstream. You get behind, it's not got a hell of a lot of slipstream. You don't get a great big tow out of it. It's pretty minor, the tow.
Well, they've gone out of the apex of the last corner and immediately straight onto the loud pedal. It's going to be a race off this restart. We can see a couple cars already diving around for a little bit of tyre heat. It's going to be Hayden Millington out of 3rd spot. That's got an opportunity here at the pointy end of the field. He will have a pit stop to do for sure. It's just how long is that pit stop potentially going to be? 6 drivers said that they didn't need to come down to the lane for a splash this early. And now what can those 6 drivers do? They'll have lighter cars, they'll have faster cars, but the drivers coming at them have got a certain amount of pace, and already it's going to be Drew Collins that tried to go to the outside of Chris Barnes and show his wares. Look for a way down the outside. There's a car around in the background, Tyler Blackburn facing the wrong way, and I can already tell you Curtis Webb is having a crack, and it's on Drew Collins. Collins gets the rear end of that car out of shape, sets out and over the track limits. Now it's going to be the inside for Curtis Webb. He's going to have to get through quickly because here comes Drew as well. 2 spots in one corner. Collins is going to fall all the way down the order to 7th.
Very, very close there. A little touch on Declan there. Declan Webb, I'm looking at the incident points, and I can tell you also that Harry Lawrence and Max Fry have already got 11 incident points. You only get 17 to start with. That's a hell of a lot in the first few laps.
And think back to last week as well. Lawrence was very aggressive cutting his way through the traffic at Magello. And that was part of the reasons why he ended up so far forward at the tail end of the race. Reese Margetts is now going to cut his way through. So he's going to move on up to 7th place in the current running order. And Collins is already starting to fall by the wayside. Who is going to be Curtis Webb's next victim? It's Chris Barnes. He's already lining him up as they run down to the hairpin at the tail end of the lap, to the inside.
That's why
she's gone around. And he's got a boatload of points last week as well. So the drivers who did well last week, Dave, not doing very well here at all. And remember, we still haven't seen a result from that Aaron Cooper incident yet either.
No, they're too wide through the twisting sections. Leave some room, boys. But it's really, really good. There's plenty of room for side by side. You just got to give each other room and respect. But these guys doing a great job. Oh, nice move down the outside with pace. Did he get an off track there? I think he probably did.
Absolutely. Absolutely he did. So Reese Margaret's starting to cut his way through the field, and he's got to be aggressive now. Ranger's right up on the rear bumper of Declan Webb as well. So there's places going forwards, and keep your eye on Cooper, who cuts his way down through and will get by Callum Newton, who run very wide. There was the pink car right out on the track limits. And now keep your eyes on the guys that are in behind him. Lefebvre's going to have a go as well. So Newton is just getting harassed and harangued by the drivers who have completed their pit stops. And he's got not very much track position. And now he's going towards the rear as well. So Newton's the cork in the bottle to the inside. Lefebvre gets through. Now it's going to open up an opportunity. Humphreys gets to the inside. They come down to Marquez corner, and it will be on the inside. Pinches him a little bit tight, cuts the momentum off, gets a toe now. Newton's going to respond, come back at him. Lefebvre is the car ahead, but it's going to be Jack Humphreys that's alongside. Doesn't get the job done, but once again outside track boundaries for Callum Newton. Now comes Baz through. Baz is going to get aggressive, gets to the inside. It's going to be a right-hander here as well. 3 wide. Gap closes dramatically. Humphreys finally gets the job done. I think Newton might have had a slowdown penalty.
Boy, oh boy. As a guide, if you're watching this and wondering what's an off-track and what's not, basically you can get your car right out on the green, and as long as you keep 2 wheels on that coloured curb, you won't get an off-track. But if you get 2 wheels outside that coloured curb, as the red and white car just did there, you've got an off-track.
I think that might have been Aiden Cale who was struggling there at the moment. Well, no, sorry, my apologies. But Declan Webb was fighting off against Chris Barnes.
3 abreast.
And now it's going to be 3 abreast on the run into turn number 1 as well. Somebody missed their braking marker. It was Margetts. Missed his braking marker by a mile. Got away with one. Didn't clean anyone up. But now he's going to lose a host of spots. Now Ireland, the teammate's going to come around to his outside as well. So 1 mistake on the run down to turn number 1. But now we've got a battle on for our race lead. Curtis Webb's got there. Millington held it for a little while with the alternate strategy. But now he's back to second place. It's working out for a couple of these guys. But the guy who has really made the most of this is now Curtis Webb. He's got pit lane strategy advantage. Now he's got the track position.
There's a 5-second penalty there for Max Fry for passing during the safety car. They're hot on that because under safety car conditions, if you're too close and you overtake, there's accidents under the safety car. You get concertinas, and the guys, the race controller, all over that to try and calm people down under the safety car. There's no point in having an accident when you're not racing.
Well, Sanders is having an off lap in terms of things. He's lost a host of spots on this time by. He was sitting second, I think it was, at the start end of the lap. Now he's right up the rear bumper of Aiden Cale.
Oh, ran a bit wide there.
See him run wide. Now it's going to be Declan Webb who looks for the crisscross, tries to get the power down as they come down on the back straight. Manages to hang on, does Philip Sanders, but the draft will kick in, and now it's going to be Declan Webb. He pulls up and alongside. They equalise, they normalise. No one's going anywhere out of this battle pack, and there's some draft being offered for both of them from Aiden Cale up ahead. The run side by side
big
to the
braking
hairpin.
challenge. And he's down the inside. See, he's got off the brakes early and sort of tried to pull it in tight. Very, very nice bit of driving. There's some places around here that just it invites you to have a go, and particularly down at that hairpin. But you're coming from such a high speed, it's so easy to just miss that marker, run past. Now Philip Sanders in the pit lane.
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. He'll dive in very, very early.
That's his fuel stop.
And that means that maybe everyone else can go 1 lap longer, is basically the thoughts in my mind. Something's just happened to Jack Humphreys as well. And I think it might have been down at the hairpin on that previous lap that he's just called into race control. So something's going on there. But in the meantime, Curtis Webb jumps to the lane, gets his pit stop done, and now he's going to try and skip clear. Declan Webb's only up to 4th spot, and he'll have a margin of about 2.5 seconds back to him.
Yeah, so at the moment, Hayden Millington's really putting some pressure here on the leaders and keeping them very, very honest. So, well, that was close. That was very close. They're trusting the net code in this at the moment. The because not always is the reality is reality. Oh, that's a big dive down the outside. Whew. Another one off the road. So you can see the following guys there going extra wide, and they're using the width of the track by keeping their 2 inside tyres on the curb and getting way outside to try and get a faster run out. And so, it's a tactical thing, and sometimes they're taking a incident point, tactically taking it to get a run.
Yep, 17 points is the limit. Car-to-car contact, heavy car contact. 4 incident points will get subtracted from that total towards the drive-through penalty. Outside the track boundaries, that's 1.
Harry Lawrence is already at 15.
So Lawrence has got no wiggle room to play with, and now there's going to be 3 wide as they get through the hairpin, out and around the outside, contact in the background, and dropping through the field like a rock. They're tied together as David Baz and co. And unfortunately for him, and I think it's Mazzaroli, yeah, it's Jordan Mazzaroli, they both scored points last week. They both scored big points last week. That's not going to happen today.
Yeah, and I can tell you that David Baz is already at 23 incident points, so he's already had a drive-through. 2 more, and he's actually out of the race.
He's actually got damage to that car at the moment. I don't know if he might have already taken the spare car. So as it currently stands, he got boxed in on that corner. That was just good hard racing, and that's just pack racing as well too, Dave, isn't it? You make mistakes sometime.
You just got to be careful. I mean, you can't just run around there and run wide and run into somebody, because you do as much damage to yourself as you do to them. You've got to use your noggin and say, well, I can't get round there. I just got to stop and wait for him and then go. Look at them off track again there. That's nearly an off track. Whew. They're really pushing the limits around here. This corner here that leads onto this main straight, it's quite difficult because you've got a sharp right followed by that sharp left onto the back straight. There's a big lump of concrete on the inside, which is what they do here at Aragon to mark the inside of the circuit and to stop you cutting it. There's a big lump of round concrete cannonball on the inside. But it's really important to get that. See the big concrete cannonballs on the inside? It's really important to get that exit on that corner because it leads on
that over each other. The guys that we were just talking about have had huge amounts of contact. It was Aiden Cale and Hayden Millington, and it was out of the final hairpin into the next right-handed kink, and before the left-hand kink to get into the main straight. It was huge contact. It's around. It's in front of everyone. Cale's got the pit lane, replay. And Millington's going to have to continue on. So Cale got in, and as they transition there, that was some
lovely avoidance by the car behind there, the third car in the row there.
Well, that was Declan Webb, who will now skip through and grab second spot on the road. Cale got to the lane and has now taken his pit stop. But we're running out of time in this race as well. We've got another 10 minutes worth of this one, and there might be enough fuel in those tanks. They may get home from that early pit stop. If they don't, well, all of a sudden those cars that didn't pit under that first round of that first safety car are relevant again.
Because like Christopher Island's been the quiet achiever here. We haven't sort of noticed him, but he's sitting there in third place now. So he's got a hell of a queue behind him. There's just car after car after car after car behind him. Look at that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars in a line. That's called a traffic jam in normal circumstances.
I was going to say DRS train, but I think traffic jam more accurately conveys it. Cooper's starting to get real racy up on the back end of Chris Barnes right now. Callum Newton's hanging on to the back end of these guys, and it was Scott Lefferber as well that's sort of meat in the sandwich. Jack Humphries will still be trying to cut his way back through, and he's now on the rear bumper of Drew Collins as he gets good drive out and onto the back straight. So you're going to see Jack Humphries scoot through down the inside. You've got to keep half an eye on things sort of left, right, and centre. Look at the pace as well, and these are Formula 3 cars hitting 260 kilometres an hour. Newton's going to go for a huge dive bomb down to the hairpin, pulls the car up, move of the day, and creates a mistake from Lefferber as well. Lefferber can't respond, Newton to 7th.
That was a beautiful, beautiful, absolute dive bomb done with class and precision. Fabulous piece of driving.
And he barely pinched the brakes at the end of it. That was awesome. That was so good. Down on the brakes.
It was decisive. And it was just so clean and clinical and didn't put in. There was no coming together. I'm by and I'm gone.
Well, Aaron Cooper's now going to try and get to the inside of Chris Barnes as well. You can see that one in the rear view off of Reese Margetts. Barnes now runs wide as they get down and through turn number 5 and then flip back to 6 on the right-hand side. Andrew Dyson says he's tried passing tips to teammate Margetts in Ireland. The go pedals on the right.
insulting, isn't it? Oh, I've got to say, I love Cooper's green car. I've got a green car at the moment, but I love his green car because it stands out. You can pick it anywhere on the road. Even more so than the pink one. I just think that green, there's just nothing else out there bright green, and I can pick him wherever he is.
Well, he's having trouble. He's really attempting to apply pressure to the back end of Chris Barnes, but there's just no way he can get alongside of him at the moment. Nowhere that he's really been opened up. So Barnes is doing a great job defensively. The problem for these guys, though, is they're starting to lose the two DPR teammates just up ahead, which is what Chris Island and Reese Margetts are sort of working towards at the moment, is to drop everyone else. Cooper did not get good run off onto the back straight.
No, he didn't, but he is in slipstream distance, so he's got a chance he could dive down the inside here. He's making a move, he's down that inside, and now can he pull look, he's pulled out of that under brakes. Chris Barnes was super late, and Callum Newton super late as well. So Cooper was quite early on the brakes there, quite conservative. You're gonna have to get a little less conservative than that to we got
Callum Newton that's going to dive into the pit lane. Yeah, because he was one of the last cars to do their pit stop. So looks like we might have this come complete circle. The problem I've got right now is he's gone just shy of 23 minutes into this race. And in terms of things, Cooper's now going to finally get to the inside of Chris Barnes. This is the furthest up he's finally been. Does get to the inside. Hasn't achieved it yet. Give him enough space on the exit. Barnes got great drive off of turn 5. He is going to shut the door, cover the inside off. Cooper's going to look for a crisscross here. Try and get the car rotated nice and early. Not enough drive. And that move stalls out yet again. And I'm pretty sure Aaron Cooper is about sick of the rear end of the 74 car of Chris Barnes.
Aaron Cooper's got a little bit of he's not really decisive and late under brakes. He's quite conservative under brakes. He's not being able to put the move on here. So see if he can do it here. Like coming up here, can he get that late brake? Yes, he's got it this time, and he's through. But that's where his weak point has been, that braking area. He's been a little early on the brakes.
I'm a little bit curious right now because, well, we did those pit stops about 6 minutes into this race. And since that safety car period, drivers gone about to the 23 marker is the longest they could possibly go. Well, now does that say that maybe you can get away without another pit stop? For the guys that are streaking clear up in front, Curtis Webb is doing an okay job of things, but for the guys that are a little bit further back, and here comes Chris Barnes back again. Oh,
now this time Cooper's late on the brakes. I think he just didn't go late because he didn't want.
And key update as well coming in for Aaron Cooper is that the incident that we were looking at earlier on in the piece has now evolved itself into a drive-through penalty. So he's in a good spot, and that spot is going to evaporate. There was somebody else in the background that just dived into the pit lane as well. Barnes. So Chris Barnes. That says to me, we've got another pit stop coming here, Dave.
And Leo Dreyer. Yes, interesting to see if the Websters can get to the end here, or whether they will dive into the pits. This battle for third place, though, is, it's 6-7 cars deep. It's just fantastic racing. And Christopher Island's really stamped his foot down and said, I'm taking third place, but he's got every challenger known to man lined up behind him. Not going to let him get away with it too easy, but he seems to be just holding a little gap at the moment, just over Reese Margetts. A bit wide there. There's another incident point. There certainly isn't all the road.
I'm going to say something to you here. I reckon Margetts is fuel saving. I reckon he is absolutely fuel saving. There'll be no more safety cars at the end of the race. We've underneath that 5 minutes now to go. Will be no safety cars. Not enough time to get it out there. Not enough time to get it resolved. And Cooper has closed supremely in both the first and the final sector on the previous lap. Both of those sectors are dominated by straight line periods. So I'm wondering whether or not there's some fuel saving going on. And now Island's starting to back them up as well, as they zero all the way in. And look at it, Margetts, he's lifting. He's absolutely lifting. So I reckon these guys are trying to go to the end. The DPR teammates, and they always get support, even though from some of them it might be in the YouTube chat instead of spotting alongside for them.
Well, first and second have driven straight past the pits again. There's Cooper into the pit lane. There's the Barbie car. Who's the Barbie car? Into the pit lane.
That'll be Aaron Cooper, I thought it was, to come. No, it'll be someone else. You're 100% right. Jack Humphreys is going to come to the pit lane.
Yeah, so
And,
there's 2 more on the pit lane. They're just short. They're just short of fuel. So the Webb and Webb have been doing a drive-through for Cooper. Webb and Webb have done a fabulous job of just managing the fuel usage to looks like they're going to get themselves to the end. There's a good little move up the inside. So Chris Barnes, oh, he left the door open there. Should have stayed in on the left-hand side of the road. This is a bit fast to go through here to abreast. Oh.
And Aidan Kale's the guy he is battling quite aggressively. But remember, when Kale pit, he pit out of just behind the leaders as well. So now if everyone else has to come back down the line, this says to me that Aidan Kale is actually still relevant on the racetrack for potentially another top 5 here. So
well, he's 15th on the road at the moment. So,
but look at the number of drivers ahead of him about the pits.
Look at the speed. Look at the speed these two Webb, Curtis and Declan have got, and the amount of distance they pulled on the field. Now what are they? Declan's 5 seconds off Curtis, and then the next car back's 14 seconds back to Chris Island. So they've done a really superb job.
But I can tell you again, Declan Webb is fuel saving. He is also absolutely fuel saving. I think Curtis Webb's punching on.
Driven past the pits. No, Declan Webb into the pit lane. That's
so
Declan
in terms
Webb
of things,
in pit lane. And they stopped at the same time. So Curtis is he's either been fabulous at saving fuel, or he's just running the gauntlet. How much more have we got? 1:38. I think we've got 2 laps to go.
Yeah, there'll be this one and one more. There was no white waving flags. They come past the start-finish line that time by to signal 1 more lap to go from our favourite automated in-sim flag waver. He's got a name.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what's that? Declan 7th now, 8th place. Wow.
Rejoins just in behind Luke Hyden and ahead of Tyler Blackberry. Aaron Cooper's only served a drive-through as it currently stands, so he has not come to the pit lane, but currently sits 11th on the track. If he saved enough fuel, he's in a good spot. I reckon Ireland and Margetts are going to make it. So that's my first bet, because all of a sudden Chris Ireland has shot off down the road away from Margetts. Margetts has put a margin on Lefebvre. So if Lefebvre can make it as well, Curtis Webb's a really, really interesting case here. I guarantee he's going to pit this time by. And it'll be 2 weeks in a row. They might have got the strategy just a touch wrong from
I say also there,
guys.
5th place on the road, James Chastanoff, on debut in the series. His first time ever out with us in F3A, 5th on the road. What a fantastic effort that is.
He was caught up in some of the drama earlier on. Scott Lefebvre now backwards and facing the wrong way.
And backwards again. Once you spin this car, it overheats the rear tyres. And it's so easy when you come back on to just lose it and point. No, he's in the lane. He's in the lane. Curtis Webb's in the lane.
My word. I think Margetts might be right about out of fuel, and Chastanoff is coming at them. He's taking a significant amount of time out of these guys. So if Chasty has been saving fuel up until this point, all of a sudden he's got a huge margin. He's going to come to the lane, so Chasty's not got enough fuel. What does Lawrence do? The 2 DPR cars have continued on. So is Harry Lawrence. Harry Lawrence is going to move up inside the top 3 for the 2nd week in a row. Strategy falls the way of Harry Lawrence. Last week he had to get the elbows out. This week it's about minimizing use of the loud pedal. Where does Webb rejoin? Well, Webb's back up to 4th spot. There's only 3 cars that are going to make it here, Dave.
Yeah. Hayden Millington's just copped a penalty as well from race control. So he's back in 15th. That really puts him out of the event. But this is just... how cool is this? You know, it's strategy. You've got to be fast.
Declan Webb just got through on Declan Webb. Curtis Webb's around. Oh no!
So why did he take tyres?
So as it currently stands, ladies and gents, we've just got an update from the pit lane. Curtis Webb took tyres. The tyres are stone cold. He's got no grip, and he's falling through the field. He's back to 8th as it currently stands. Ireland is running a slow race. If you haven't heard of them, it's where you go as slow as you possibly can, and the last one across the finish line wins. Well, he's still going to be fast enough to claim a win, but he's on the clutch already. He's not accelerating. Is he going to make the finish line? Where is Margetts? Margetts is coming at him, but neither of them are using the pedal on the right. Lawrence is coming at them as well. He's burning through the time back to them. Are these guys going to have enough drive to get out of the last corner, or is this a formation finish for the DPR team? They get out of the last corner. They press the pedal down. It goes to the floor. Will they make the line? Chris Ireland out of the final corner and comes to the flag. They will have enough fuel, but they're making it exciting because Harry Lawrence got close, and Lawrence is now out of fuel. Declan Webb gets home. He's going to be in P5 as it currently stands. Aaron Cooper is going to get through, and now he's going to be side by side through the hairpin. Look at Chris Barnes. Barnes is having a go, and it's around the outside of Jack Humphrey. Is he going to get there? No, it's going to be Humphrey who comes through.
What
so
a
my apologies, Callum Newton, who steals that one away.
So in the end, we've got Christopher Ireland takes the win from Reece Margetts and Harry Lawrence. And the Declan Webb is 4th, and Curtis Webb is back in 6th, 7th place.
Well, he crossed 7th, but he's in the lane. And I want you to check quickly, if you can, if he received a drive-through penalty for incident point limits.
Oh, I can check that. So what's his number? Is 22. 22. Curtis Webb. No, he's only got 8 incident points, so I don't know why he'd be in the pit lane.
An odd one then, because definitely looked like it. Josh Fitt, though, did get a penalty and did not return to the racing circuit. So that race blew up out of nowhere. My word, they're still finishing. Jason Depp and Jordan Mazzaroli are going to be the last 2 cars to come across the start-finish line. But there are a ton of cars who did not get back in terms of fuel. Phil Sanders is out.
To be honest, until they went across the finish line, we had no idea who was really going to win, did we? Because could they make it even up that hill? To drive from the hairpin back up the hill to the finish line with no fuel in the tank. Boy, oh boy, great effort by Christopher Ireland. Beautiful drive. Reece Margetts, fabulous. Harry Lawrence came from the clouds. Declan Webb. Declan, he had the pace tonight, and he's secured a good result out of what was a difficult circumstance. Aaron Cooper, fabulous 5th. Phil Sanders, great job in 6th. Aidan Cale, 7th. Humphreys, Chastanoff, still inside the top 10 on debut. Great job from him. And Hayden Millington, he salvaged a 10th place, top 10 finish. Well done, boys. Great finish to all of them. They all deserve to be where they are.
And I tell you what, I've just gone back and watched Harry Lawrence's last lap, and in the last few corners, he was out of fuel. He did not make the line under his own power. The engine had already cough-spluttered and died. So that's how close he was in terms of the margin. The guys that finished ahead of him got 2 corners further than he did. So that's how much fuel they all had left over. Drew Collins comes home 11th. Rob Griffiths, Luke Hyde, and Sheedy, who scored points last week in a big bank of points. Jay Dixon won't score points here tonight. Tyler Blackburn, Lefebvre, Leo Dreyer, Callan Arthur, and Curtis Webb round out your top 20. We'll throw it back over to the 30s. Newton from Barnes. Barnes had a storming fight with a number of cars throughout the field. Leith Hardy, Luke Fitt, Jason Depp. Mazzaroli didn't do a great job. Max Fry will finish 1 lap down. Josh Fitt and David Baz will not finish. Neither will Jackson Pringle. And for what was 16 laps worth of racing action, it came down to a safety car, it came down to strategy, it came down to getting the job done. Some of them did and others did not. My word. And that sets us up really, really nicely, Dave, for the main race. But we're going to jump across quickly, and we might just chat to our winner of F3 Silver. And we're chatting to Chris Ireland. Chris, you would have known that would have been a fuel race very, very early on. The instant that safety car call was made, how much gas were you saving? What was the plan from the get-go? And were you surprised more cars didn't try it?
I was definitely surprised more cars didn't try it, but as soon as I saw the leaders doing 48s, I thought, yeah, they're definitely not fuel saving. So, yeah, I was off the pace, but at the end of the day, it was the fastest strategy out of the 2 options. So it got me the win. I'm pretty happy with it.
You should be happy. It was a fabulous drive and really nice calculated performance.
Thanks, man.
So just in terms of things, can you clarify, was that a formation finish attempt? Because you had us going on that last lap. We thought you might have been out of fuel.
We were both running out of fuel. Had the clutch in from about halfway down the straight prior. So yeah, I was just trying to make sure that I had enough fuel to get to the end. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough fuel to do skids right at the end. But it was a failed attempt. I don't know if you saw it on the stream. It was not an attempt at a formation finish though. Just trying to stay alive, really.
Well, I can tell you Harry Lawrence was just in behind, cough spluttered and died to the line, so it was definitely tight across the number of cars, mate. In terms of things, though, floor is all yours to thank the sponsors that make it possible for you, and boy, that's been an exciting race. I hope you guys will enjoy going back and watching the coverage.
Yes. First off, just a massive shout out to Reese and Josh for joining me tonight. It was good fun. I really enjoyed having those boys, and big shout out to the boys over at DPR. You know, Benny and Bailey who are racing in pro after this. They really helped out with the prep and just you know, preparing us for the race. Big shout out to simrigs.com, providing me with a gear good enough to feel safe with. So big shout out to those boys. Southwell Lifts and Hoists, Ben Max Mechanical, and Neil Pearson Designs.
Mate, congratulations on a win that is going to be celebrated and enjoyed for a little while. They're always special when they come in a different manner and method, mate. So enjoy your night and go off and celebrate with the rest of the boys.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good one.
My word, Dave, that gets the motor running to start the night off, but that's on the start of things. Don't forget, we're going to be kicking over to the F3A Pro server. The setup now becomes open. The race expands its way out to 45 minutes, but I get the feeling we're going to see another race that is relatively fuel important, shall we say, and I've been talking to Daniel Harris as well. Again, he's found a trick in terms of the setup, but he's just messaged me again and said somebody else has also found a trick in terms of the setup. They've found some stonking speed, so there is going to be an interesting race on here tonight, and those Eclipse boys might look a little bit strong.
Yeah, I did notice there that Curtis Webb's actually just come on into the Discord there and said that auto fuel failed him, but then Jay Dixon came in and said it worked for me. So yeah, interesting.
Well, that's how they stand as we move over to this one. The Teams Championship I was really interested in. What you've got to note there from the Fiercely Forward guys is they only had one driver finish last week, and that's the difference in being a little bit further forward. That's why the Eclipse guys have got their hands in control of the Teams Championship as it stands. That was led last week by the Rainmaster, and Mr. Typhoon was the nickname that we ended up going with at the tail end of things. So Chin is going to be quick yet again. And I think that's going to be the case just about right the way through. I think Kalen Chin is going to be someone just about everyone has their eyes on here, Dave.
Yeah, I think he's at the moment, he's in the back of the pits doing a rain dance, but it's not working for him.
Meantime, some of their drivers have got a little bit of pace. As it currently stands, others do not. It was the Fiercely Forward duo on the front row last week. Currently, in terms of qualifying, Ben Roberts has found some extreme speed and is on the front row.
Wow.
As it currently stands, but there is going to be Kobe Williams would be the last of the drivers coming out at things. Giuliano Sinese was also on a lap as it currently stood. Will practice the pit lane entry instead. Didn't have enough time. There would have been an off track there. Williams will be done, and that will be qualifying and results in the book. And there are a couple of drivers who failed to set a lap out of that one, which is interesting. So both fields had drivers failing to set laps here, and this is going to be your starting grid. On the inside of row number one will be Ben Roberts, who puts that car on the front row, talking to the DPR guys. They said how confident they were in terms of that entry. Daniel Harris front row 2 weeks in a row, and hopefully for him that works out better for his teammate this week. Bailey Evans and Lee Zeltwanger. It was Zeltwanger who was quick last week and failed to finish that first couple of laps. It was a rough night for him at the office. Maybe he can turn it around this week. Bailey Evans for DPR off be alongside of him. Kalen Chin is staying in contention in terms of things off of the inside of row number 3, off alongside of Jack Murray, his season's defending champion. We'll have an opportunity to score some points here tonight. Ewan Baker was aggressive last week, didn't necessarily pay out the way that he necessarily wanted things. We'll start off of row number 4 off alongside of Drew Collins. It'll be Eddie Beswick and Harrison Lillis who will round out your top 10. Maybe they can find a turn of speed in terms of things. Scott Bartine and Denny Davison will make up row number 6 in behind these guys. Kenny Kanomas was on our lips last week. We'll see if he can score some points, but it's a long way down there in 13th, off alongside of Tyson Broad, Caleb Hides, and Sam Sutton, and make up your row number 8. Caleb Dawson and Ben Holiday. Sorry, my apologies. Caleb Dawson. Yeah, it was Caleb Dawson and Ben Holiday off of row number 9 before we get back to Corey Bennett and Ryan Carrison in 19th and 20th. Moving back to the 11th row on the grid, we get deep in the field. It's going to be Nathan Norman off alongside of Sean Doyle. A lot of support for Sean in the chat. As we were seeing a little bit earlier on, Giuliano Sinese and Kobe Williams are going to be off of row number 12. Matthew Keane and Lachlan Taylor are going to be the last of our qualifying drivers and a long, long way off the pace. 50.516 says that Lachlan Taylor is not feeling settled and set up here tonight. Caleb Bellack didn't set the qualifying time. Neither did Sam Chapman, neither did John Monday. That rounds out our starting grid here for tonight. David, is there any surprises from that grid? There's a couple drivers that I think are a little bit out of position.
For me, the big one is I don't think I've ever seen Kobe Williams that far back down a grid ever. You know, he's 18th on the grid. I mean, that I've never seen Kobe outside of the top half a dozen. So that he's certainly out of place. And I'm imagining that a few of those guys just really failed to get a clean lap in, because if you get an off track, you know, like Danny Ricciardo at Melbourne, you know, your time's deleted. So you've got to have a clean lap for qualifying. Sub 48 seconds by sub 47 seconds by Ben Roberts. Astounding, absolutely astounding.
Yep, so gets into the 46.948. And how about this? 4th and 5th place was dead even in terms of the down to the 1,000th of a second. So it'll be Lee Zeltwanger and Kalen Chin. And then exactly 1/10 of a second further back was Jack Mara. So how tight those are in those positions right there. So 4th and 5th place, exactly the same time. We are moments away from getting ourselves a couple of red lights and leading into our race conditions. That is what the weather looks like here, Dave. So track's a little bit warmer. It's not a stone cold track, but it is relatively cool.
Oh, good. Can't have it raining every week. I see iRacing with their new rain and some of the series, it's like raining every week. I mean, I like to get a little bit more.
You gotta have a series that figures out who the Rain Masters are, though. There's Draft Masters, there's Ring Masters. Yep. There's got to be Rain Masters. That's definitely got to be a series.
I'm a Pit Master.
Well, coming to you live from the commentary box Masters up here as we are set for the call on this one. Ben Roberts has the pole. He's off the outside of row number 1, but a little bit further forward. Good start from the front row. The second row was not all that great, and it's Zeltwanger who's dropping through the pack. Chin got a reasonably good getaway. He'll slot through up and into 4th, but there's a huge bottleneck, and it's Lee Zeltwanger at the moment as he drifts through the pack. Ewan Baker got a great getaway. They've all passed him, so he's lost 3 spots already. His fiercely forward driver teammate up at the pointy end of the field now harasses Ewan Baker. The field scatters as they come through the first couple of corners, but they all managed to survive lap number 1. Someone started from the pit lane. At the back end of things, might have been Sam Chapman. I think it was Sam Chapman. It will be Sam Chapman.
The good thing here is when they do look like they're coming together, you can just dive off the road. There's plenty of room. Take an incident point, get off the road, and avoid having an accident. So, yeah, that guys showed great little bit of exit.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, unfortunate. There's a wing gone there. So Scott Bartane's lost the front wing. That's going to make the thing a bit understeery, I think.
Yeah, I got the feeling he's going to be very quickly into the pit lane. Somebody else is around as Caleb Hydes is off and in the dirt and facing in the wrong direction. There he is, top left of that screen, so doesn't make it past Marquez on the opening lap. Now Bart Hines making more contact. His front wing's actually just ejected off that car, finally.
Should be quick in a straight line, though.
Yep, here we go. Now he's going to have Corey Bennett from the Million Racing Team.
See, Daniel Harris got that straight line speed again that he had last week, so they've got to tweak. I think I've got an inkling what it is, but he's certainly got some straight line speed, and the other guys are a lot closer, but he's still got that little edge on straight line speed, and he's made the pass.
Yep, got down the inside at the hairpin, supreme straight line speed. Gets past Ben Roberts. He was concerned that other drivers might have found the setup trick, but Daniel Harris leads the way. And Chin has started off at a 5th position, up to 3rd on that opening lap.
Riley Evans down the inside. Wow.
My word, it is squabbling like you wouldn't believe back here. And you'll take a look at these cars. And the other thing I think here, Dave, was that what something you were saying last week was, boy, the Eclipse cars look close together. Well, it's Eclipse versus DPR is why they look close together. Same color scheme, slightly different placements on the car.
Yeah, so the blue one back there, is that Eddie Beswick on the inside there? That Beswick going through, yes. Little touches he went through. Now, he was quick early on last week, but ran into a bit of trouble here. We're on board with Ewan Baker. I love Ewan. He's a great guy to ride with. He's really aggressive, and he certainly pushes the limits. no holds barred. A little out of position. I've, rarely does Ewan sort of run around the back of the top 10. So, but plenty of time to go yet. We'll see. Now you see where some of them are using that extra road on the way in. They're way outside of track limits outside the curb as they turn in. They're using all the road they can find. Let's see the difference in straight line speed of these cars. The trouble is they're all in somebody else's toe, so it's a bit like a DRS train without DRS, isn't it? But the battle here and whether they can see, we're dropping away from that car in front. Drew Collins doesn't have the straight line speed. I don't know who that is. Harrison Lewis in front, but he didn't have the straight line speed.
More overtaking attempts. Harris was assaulted by Roberts down the inside at the hairpin, and Kalen Chin tried to get up and alongside and get the overtake done on Bailey Evans. Went too deep at the hairpin, couldn't pull it up, and now Jack Mara's significantly closer to him. Mara's keeping the nose clean on the run down into turn number 1, showing it, filling those mirrors, and Chin, well, he's a Carter, so he's going to be aware of what aggression looks like, and he will have a plan for it. But you don't become a champion for no reason.
Collins off the road.
Collins off the road. Yeah, there was more drama as well. Kobe Williams was actually wrapped up in an incident as they come onto the back straight on lap number 1 as well. So he's gone tumbling through the field, and there's more drama at turn 1 as well.
That was Ryan Carlson.
I think Bellac was the other car that was involved there. So now they'll try and settle themselves down onto the race pace.
So once again, 0.36. It's not much, is it? That's not out of DRS range. They don't have DRS, by the way.
Well, in the meantime, this is the result of what happened down at turn 1. And Bellac got tagged by Carlson on the exit. Around they both go.
Yep. Didn't lose too much. Hopefully the car's okay. Now, Zeltwanger, following here was Zeltwanger, which is Daniel Harris's teammate. Last week, they started both off the front row of the grid. This time, Zeltwanger's a little way back. He's sitting there in 6th place at the moment. He's certainly not out of it, but does he have that straight line speed? He doesn't seem to have the same sort of straight line speed as Daniel Harris does. So, pretty good when it gets down to the top end. So, they've certainly got something there, and it's definitely aero. It's got to be aero, so it's got to be a wing, and I think they're fiddling with the difference in whether they're using more of the little low bar wing or the high wing, and one gives more drag than the other, and I think that's where they're playing with it, my thought anyway.
So he's going to go around
the wrong way, and he's got to sit there and just wait.
And this will tell that story, and we're talking to the Eclipse drivers last week after things. They were all running different setups because none of them felt confident.
A little tag from Ewan Baker. Little tag from Ewan Baker. No. So I can tell you that of all the guys out there, the one with the big incident points, Caleb Bellac, 12 incident points already. So he's going to have to watch his step for the rest of the race, or he'll be sitting in pit lane watching it.
I wonder whether or not that's 3 separate car contacts for Bellac, whether or not it's not outside track boundaries, because I heard him on the radio again. So there was definitely two 4Xs.
So here we are on board with Ewan. He's come down here and he's come into this, and the guys in front just tagged him. Oh, he's going to get a penalty for that.
But they were propping each other up, trying to turn back and get the drive out. And because they were just so slow at that point in the corner, you can see why Ewan would feel a little bit aggrieved. But anyway, it is what it is. Mara managed to get by Bailey Evans, by the way, on the most recent lap. And now he's going to be right up and underneath the rear wing. Nearly haven't talked about the front two. And now Daniel Harris is going to get defensive because here comes Ben Roberts with the overspeed. Sits in the draft. And now does Ben Roberts actually fuel save a little bit, just like his competitors and like his teammates were. Yeah, he's on the clutch. I can tell you Ben Roberts is saving. How does Jack Mara fare, though? It's going to be 3-1 on the run down the hairpin and ejected out of stage left. Well, he came flying in there. He came flying back out the other side. And it's going to be Kalen Chin, who won the race last week, no longer in contention for a top 5. Evans is coming to the lane very, very early.
That's not over yet.
For damage? That'll be for damage, I think, for Bailey Evans. In the meantime, he's dived in the lane, and Zeltwanger gets to 3rd spot. The fiercely forward drivers now scoring a boatload of points as it stands. But we're only 77 minutes into a 45-minute race. Lots of racing left to come.
It's just unfortunate. So unfortunate. what happens there is that is that Bailey Evans in the middle. It's just sort of crowded Chin on the inside. Nobody's fault. Just, 3 cars into a hairpin. That happened. So Bailey was the one that got touch with Kalen, and he's had to go to pit lane. Looks like he did cop a bit of damage out of that, but he will have done a fast repair, but he doesn't have another one. So now he's got to be a little careful in traffic, and his moves need to be decisive without touches. So Roberts here putting pressure all over the back of Harris and really, really pushing him. They've got little lights on the wings, on the vertical part of the wings. See them? What are the lights for?
Rain lights.
But it's not raining.
Well, that's why they're not flashing, Dave.
I was going to tell them to get off the brakes.
Maybe that's what the guys were talking about in YouTube chat earlier. Get on the loud pedal on the right. I can tell you, Ben Roberts is absolutely fuel saving, and Daniel Harris is showing that he needs to be thinking backwards. And I like this from Ben Roberts, because what he's doing is he's filling Harris's mirrors, he's filling his mind, and you always know that you don't mind living in someone's head rent free. And then he's fuel saving at the same time, so he's doing.
And you only need to be in front.
Things he's doing. Does.
You only need to be in front at the finish line. So Ewan Baker there got a 10-second penalty for that little tag on the back that we saw down at the hairpin. He's got a 10-second penalty for that. 10 seconds is a lot of time around here. And we've got another one there for Ryan Carlson, who's also got a 10-second penalty. So was that the one that did he tag Caleb Black?
Yeah.
I think he did. So, the guys have got to be mindful. A little tag like that, it might seem not very much, but gee, you wouldn't have lost 10 seconds if you just gave the corner up and just said, I won't go and dive up the inside. 10 seconds, a hell of a lot to get back.
Well, in the meantime, we've got a 3-way battle for that 3rd spot on the road, and defending champion Jack Mara is in contention. But the points at this end of the series are not going his way to get another title. But right now, he's going to have Harrison Lilas filling his rear view mirrors. This is going to be a cracking battle to the end of the race. Zeltwanger's got it as it currently stands from the fiercely forward driver. But look how close Mara's following. That says to me Mara's got pace, because normally you wouldn't be able to follow quite that close. Zertier would be taking it away. But in the meantime, Mara's got pace. And remember, he's teamed up as well with Ewan Baker. And Ewan's got that 10-second penalty, but they've scored a reasonable amount of points thus far.
If we look at the team situation at the moment, the fiercely forward guys are looking pretty good, running 1 and 3, aren't they? That's pretty impressive. So those guys are certainly, this is really a teams championship more than a driver championship. So that team in Harris and Zeltwanger, fiercely forward, their setup is really doing well for both of them, and they're driving fabulously. The next best, we've got Benjamin Roberts, who's paired with Bailey Evans. Now, Bailey Evans has been in the pits. So he's sort of out of contention a little bit at the moment. Kalen Chin, Caleb Hyde. We saw Caleb Hyde's in trouble. Kalen Chin's up there. So the only team that's got both guys up the front at the moment is really the fiercely forward guys. The next best is maybe, who's Kenny Economos with? Kenny is with Corey Bennett. So that's not a good one.
That'll definitely end up with a little bit of point, some sort of penalty as it currently stands as well. Yeah. So I'm looking at the Eclipse cars. They're not doing all that well tonight. So they will be hoping for rain as it kicks on. Although the discussions after talking to Harris and the fiercely forward guys last week is they hadn't done any rain work. So now that they've had a little bit of time to look at it and a little bit of time to work on it, should it pop up in the future, I would still put money on Kalen Chin to be the leader. But Zeltwanger might have a little bit of a better night at the office and use the rain to crawl himself forward. It'll be an interesting topic we'll discuss at length as the season progresses. And there's more incidents that are under review. There's been a ton of contacts here tonight, but that's just the nature of lower tier open wheelers, isn't it? They get aggressive, they get close, you make a few mistakes, and contacts made, and there's 30 of them out there on track as well. I'm
looking at, because Kalen Chin is won last week. Their team were very highly placed, and Caleb Hyde is his co-driver. Caleb is in 28th place and the last of the real runners. Behind him is only Sam Chapman 3 laps behind. So, you know, Caleb is the last guy on the road. He's a minute behind the leaders. He's a long way down. And then you got Kalen Chin in 6th. So they're really having a tough night tonight.
Yeah, so the Eclipse Sky is not really going all that well from. It's going reasonably okay for the Kiwi contenders. I think probably as it currently stands, second in terms of points is going to be Ewan Baker and Jack Mara in the Kiwi Sim Racing entries. And
don't forget he's got a 10-second penalty, so that'll put him only puts him back 1 spot at the moment from 8th to 10th, really.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. No, Mara's doing okay. So Mara's actually sitting in a good spot, but Ewan Baker, you're right, will drop back all the way to 15th as it currently stands. With that penalty, so it'll drop him out of points contention, but up at the front, and it's still points, it's still relevant, and they will still move up that leaderboard. They're sitting in 4th spot overall, tied with the DPR cars. Well, Ben Roberts is actually outscoring Jack Mara, so they will need to score some more points as this race settles on.
Bailey Evans is in 26th place.
Yeah, but second spot's still worth 20 points, Dave. That's
yeah,
the key.
I know,
he's still harassing the rear bumper of Daniel Harris as well.
The whole thing is getting 2 across the line. You don't have to win. You've got to have your... Oh, Harris's car looks a bit loose in the back there. But you don't have to win. But if you can get both cars consistently towards the front, you point score, point score, point score.
Well, this is the first time that Benjamin Roberts has been close enough to have a go at Daniel Harris, and now he's going to pull out of the slipstream. Didn't lift this time. It's not going to fuel save, but he's on the outside as they get to the hairpin. Harris swings back through. They do bang. They do make contact. Still going to go side by side to the second last corner. Down through the kink at 17 to turn 18, and finally Harris pulls back ahead. This stoush is not going away any stretch of the imagination. This is going to go right to the line. Strategy's going to come our way, Dave, and Ben Roberts has got the ascendancy in terms of that strategy. He's been fuel saving like you wouldn't believe thus far.
Yeah, he's just putting lots of pressure on. I don't think Ben's necessarily, desperate to pass him. All this is just putting pressure on, trying to make the guy in front make a mistake. That's what it's all about.
And they drove each other right to their limits, so it's already been reached. And now, once again, Dawson's around once more for the 75 Sim Sports entry, unfortunately. Finished just outside the points last week, was the first of the drivers not to score a point. In terms of things, it was Harrison Lilas that took the last point.
Why would Kobe Williams have a mechanical black flag? Because I'm just hearing from the pit lane that... Hang on, we've got more coming in.
His front right tyre is not sitting straight, is the reason. And
Dawson? Oh, he's clobbered the concrete cannonball. Yeah, and Williams has just tagged the front of him, so he must have done some damage to the front of the car. And Dawson will have damaged that car on that concrete cannonball there on the inside. Those things are horrendous. I've whacked one this week in practice and took the whole front wing off it.
And this is what looked like on board for the driver of the 94 for Eclipse Sim Sports. Scored points last week.
And see, now we've got, look at the front. The front of the car, the right-hand side, is towing out a mile, the right-hand front corner. So, yeah, he'll have to go to the pits and have that fixed.
Yeah.
If he's got it fixed to have it.
On some cars in real life, they like to put up a lot of what they call stance.
Robert's trying up the inside. Got to be careful on that inside. We've seen what those concrete...
I call them turtles, Dave, is what the drivers
say.
Turtles is what they normally...
I call them cannonballs.
And that's Kobe Williams finally making it back
look,
to the lane.
The steering's not looking really good on that, is it?
No. But he does make it safely back to the lane, so he will keep himself at least in race contention and keep his night alive. 16 minutes and 50 seconds into our race journey as it currently stands. We've passed the 3rd marker, which means pit stops are definitely in the offering in the near future. And this battle for the lead's not going away anytime soon. The key factor, though, is the longer they fight, Dave, they are starting to bring Zeltwanger and Mara back into the equation. I think Lilas is still attached to that battle. No, he's dropped off just a fraction, so he's just outside of it now.
Do you remember that battle down into the hairpin between Kalen Chin and Bailey Evans? Bailey Evans has been given a 10-second penalty for moving under brakes and crowding Kalen Chin on the inside. So, you know how I said he moved over a little bit? He's got a 10-second penalty for that.
And be another 10-second penalty that's just been assigned to him as well.
Oh, dear. That's 2 10-second penalties for for Bailey Evans in 10 seconds.
Not looking good for him as it currently stands. It was for lap 4, moving under brakes, and then making contacts on lap number 6 as well. So 2 different incidents, and again, Harris is still defending.
You know, just take an edge off the pace, guys, and keep your nose clean, and you'll be all the better for it.
If there's one thing I know about Daniel Harris, he's going to
mist.
fight you for everything. Absolutely. And now Roberts is pinching. He's covering it every single time.
It's a fantastic battle.
Ben Roberts knows exactly
big move around the outside. Move around the outside.
Outside the track limits, and
he's
now
got
it's a
it.
new race leader. Ben Roberts leads the way. Bravery on the curbs at Aragon at turn 1, right out around the outside.
He used a deliberate off track there to perform that. Wow. In F1, he would have been penalised for that, for overtaking off the circuit.
Well,
but
you say that, but there was not enough room left, Dave. I think it's legal. I think it's play on.
In this, it is, because what he's done is he's copped a penalty for it. He's copped an incident point for going off the track. But, you know, you can strategically use them, and that's what he did there. He said, I've got plenty. I'm going to use one to make this pass because I need to be in front. Because and if you look, he's starting to gap him a little bit. So I think he's got a little bit more pace.
This is the camera angle that's going to tell it. As they get to the apex here, he's still got the nose alongside.
Look at that, way off the road.
And there was contact that sort of forced him out there. So I think he's okay.
Oh, it's okay by me, and I don't think race control will touch that at all.
No, so
because
Roberts
that sort of
leads
thing
the
we
way.
leave very much to iRacing. But Ben Roberts has got the pace, but has he got the straight line speed? Here we go. Yeah, he's got a little bit of a gap there. He's got good, it's 5-6 car lengths. But look at the speed of this. Speed of Daniel Harris's car in a straight line. I'd love to know what the onboard speed is, but definitely got more speed. But Roberts seems to have more pace over the course of a lap, but Harris certainly has more in a straight line.
As it currently stands, Harris is going to have to try and find another way back past, unless it now becomes his turn to do a little bit of fuel saving. And looking at the sector times of that final sector, he's very strong down here at turn 1, which sort of gives him a good margin, and his again was good under the brakes. But he continues to harass and harangue. And
here we go. Look, we've got the onboard speed up here. I love our director. And now we'll wait. If we can hold this until the back straight, it'd be great to see what that speed is down the chute, down that big long straight behind Roberts. What sort of speed he can turn, and then if we're lucky enough, we might be able to get the same thing out of Roberts a lap or so later and see what the comparison speeds are, because there's certainly a difference. But see, Roberts is very quick down through this twisty bit. The technical part of the circuit, Roberts seems to have the pace, and down through this over here, when you come over the brow of the hill into an off-camber downhill left-hander that's really quick third gear. Here we go now, and it's really key because you've got drive out here. This is flat through here. We come over the brow into another off-camber, and you've got to stay right because you need the exit onto the straight. This is it. Mind that cannonball on the inside, and don't run too wide. Now we're going to see, what do we get? What do we get as a top speed here? 200, 220, 240, 250, 257.
Yeah.
257 kilometers an hour. So, and I'm being told that Roberts was 255. So that's not a lot of difference. Nowhere near as that. And considering that he's in a tow, I thought he would have had more.
Yeah, so whether or not there was some lifting, but I didn't think there was any lifting going on there. Zeltwenger, the last time by, not on a current lap that we've just finished, by the way, set the fastest lap of the race. So Zeltwenger's still got speed, but he's got clear air through the first sector, and that's the difference. Harris has relinquished that lead.
Mara.
And now Mara responds as well. So the speed, as the fuel starts to burn out of the Dallara F3 2024 chassis, commonly known as the Super Formula Lights. The track starts to come alive as we get into the middle sector of this race. There's going to be some pit stop strategy. Someone's going to go and look for a little bit of the fresh air and the opportunity to hole out in the track. There is a couple battle packs right up and around the track as it currently stands. So fresh air is going to be premium, very difficult to come by.
Yeah, that's great to see Maro with some pace because, you know, that gives him confidence that he can take it to these guys as we get further into the series. Great to see somebody else joining that battle speed. You know, if you haven't got the pace, it's really hard to compete. So now what we've got, incident involving car 74 and lap 10 under investigation, passing off track. So that is under investigation. But, you know, I don't think we can do anything because that's an iRacing set thing.
Well, it's interesting. It's under investigation, so it has been noted. So, look, they're having a look at it. We'll have a result in a couple minutes, but
I don't think he had a lot of choice. He was forced out there too. And there was a bit of car contact as well.
And that's the key from me. If he wasn't forced out there, if he was given another option, no problem. I'd have no problem with it. But anyway, that's how it stands as we currently sit. In the meantime, Mara set that fastest lap the last time by. Kalen Chin started to respond as well, slowly coming to the back of Harris and Lillis as it currently stands. Kanomas isn't all that slow either and can potentially respond and get a little bit faster. Chin set a 148.274
Nathan Norman having a shocker there with he's overheated the rear tyres, had a spin, now he's lost all the rear grip. Just got to calm down, keep the thing straight, let the tyres cool a bit, and then you can get back into it.
So on the most recent lap, into the 47.2s was Ben Roberts. So I think there was an off-track used up in that lap somewhere to try and punch out. But as it currently stands, he's the fastest car on track and skipping clear now. He's cleared Daniel Harris. And
he's certainly got some pace.
Top three with the only three cars.
Keep it clean.
In the 47s there, Dave, is what I'm reading.
Sorry?
Well, no further action for the overtake at turn one between our race leaders. So
I would have been disappointed if there was, to be honest, because it really was just great racing, and I don't want to ruin great racing. I want to see these guys be able to have a go and feel like they can compete, not run around and go, oh, you know, Alonso slowed up and it was his fault that I lost control and hit the wall. Sorry, George.
Kalen Shin starting to buy onto the back of Harrison Lilas. It's going to be an interesting one to watch. He's now got the toe that's moving him a little bit further forwards. So whether or not he'll have the pace back into this race.
I think our stewards do a lot better job than the F1 stewards. They're appalling.
Each to their own. So...
Oh,
Kalen,
closing. Deep under brakes there. You got to be very careful as you get down there and you start to turn and you snatch a rear brake because it's so easy to snatch a rear brake and just pop the thing around in the wrong direction. So 47.4 from Ben Roberts. Wow. That's the fastest lap of the race.
Daniel Harris does improve his fastest lap of the race now to a 47.6. But a tenth and a half slower, and Ben Roberts ahead of him means that he's not making any ground. Zertwanger holds station, not really losing all that much time, not gaining time either. But Mara starting to fall off the back of him, still maintaining the toe. But whatever it is, as this fuel burns out of Jack Mara's car, he's not able to maintain. And the critical key now is for Ewan Baker. 10-second penalty coming his way at the end of the race, remember? Something to note, that would currently only drop him one spot. It would drop him behind Danny Davison, would be the only change out of that penalty.
Here's another interesting little factor. I just checked the incident points. Daniel Harris has 12, but Ben Roberts, he only has 8. So he did legitimately use them tactically because he's only got 8. He's not making any off tracks. He's driving beautiful and clean. 8 off tracks on this place is amazing. I've did that in one lap, you know. So I do think he's probably gone, right, I need to make a break. I'll use some of my off tracks to put in a fantastic fast lap to just get that break on Harris. And he's done that. So really, really nice tactical thinking from the driver in the lead.
For those of you watching along at home and going, what's an incident point? Think of it as an outside track limits strike is the best way to think about it in terms of real world racing. Kalen Chin there gets the job done in the straight line on Lillis and moves his way up into P5. Is still in contention as well. He's only got 3 seconds to go before he's on the back of Jack Mara now as well. So interesting to note how far they've gone. We're past the halfway distance in terms of our laps as it currently stands now and closing in on 2/3 race distance as well. And now Roberts again responds with a faster lap.
47.3. So what was Daniel Harris's lap that lap?
47.5.
There we go. So he's just pulling a couple of tenths every lap. That's really impressive. Don't forget they've got to do a pit stop yet, though.
Yep, so not all decided as it currently stands. Make sure you don't speed in the lane. Always a relevant factor in that argument. But
pretty good
here
pit lane here. It's a pretty good straight entrance to pit lane. It's a little bit awkward, the left-hand turn coming out, so you can lose a bit of time if you're not careful. But yeah, it's pretty neat pit lane.
And only just off to the left of the racing line as well. You come out of that last kink and you sort of got to lift a little bit to get to the left-hand side of the track. It's not straight flat out on the way in. Matthew Keane from the rear of the field moves his way up to 13th as it currently stands, and now on the rear bumper of Sam Sutton, although Sutton ahead of him has made his pit stop. Scott Bartine
13th. So these guys are doing a good job. From the back of the grid to be up in 12th, 13th place is a really good job in this sort of competition.
Yeah, that's important to note as well. As they continue working their way forwards. Sean Doyle just on the outside of the top 10, sits 11th at the moment, but the big thing for Sean, 10 seconds off of Corey Bennett up ahead of him, so not in contention for a point as it currently stands for Doyle. And he's going to need a safety car to rescue that one. Race leaders are starting to go through some lap traffic as well. Have just passed Lachlan Taylor. And now that'll be a job for Jack Mara and Zeltwanger to make their way past on this next lap. And Zeltwanger's now starting to pull away from Jack Mara, clearing that toe distance. It'll be interesting to see if Kalen Shin can respond and get a little bit closer.
I'm getting a message that from his team that Kalen's actually carrying a little bit of damage on the car. So he's just driving it with the damage because he doesn't want to make a special stop. He's going to drive it that way till he pits, and he'll do a fast repair when he pits. So that's again, tactical, the way you handle damage and the way you drive the car. So he's a little bit off the pace, but it's because he's carrying damage in the car.
But surely, if that's the case, you'd want to pit earlier rather than later to get that one out. Tyson Broad did take tyres at the pit stop, and this is him on the out lap. And
I don't know why they're taking tyres.
Well, that might have been a mistake from Tyson.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I would, driving this car, I've never run out of tyres. She gets a little loose in the rear, but I wouldn't necessarily think it's using tyres. So Nathan Norman there from Million Blue in the pit lane.
That was running out of 18th, I believe, just prior to the pit stop. So also not in contention for points as it currently stands. Only the top 10 scoring points. A reminder as well. As the team's championship, we've got to focus on in terms of our prizes as well. And the points that are coming out of that fiercely forward team today, Dave, that is a huge bank of points.
It is, because it's second and third place at the moment. Now, where's our Valve Esports guys, Danny Davison and Scott Bartane? Where are they running at the moment? Danny Davison was up there. Yes, he's up in 8th. And Scott Bartane's in 14th. That's a pretty good showing for those boys. They're putting that's a good little bank of points for them. Nice job. Danny Davison's doing a really good job, and Bartane's already made his pit stop, so he'll come up through that from 14th. Those guys are looking good. They've had a good day today so far. They're enjoying their little holiday in Spain.
For Bartane, actually, he hasn't made his pit stop as of yet. He pitted all the way back at the end of lap 1. So damage on lap 1, remember, with his broken front wing. So he will still have a pit stop to come. In the meantime, we're watching Doyle get overtaken by Sam Sutton down the inside at the hairpin. And the car just in behind them is Caleb Hydes as well. So he is the lapped car in this equation and stepping clear of those guys. And now it'll be interesting to see, Sean Doyle's going to dive straight to the lane after that one and get his pit stop out of the way. So gets overtaken by Sam Sutton. Sutton moves into 11th spot. Ewan Baker's now made a pit stop up ahead of these guys as well and back inside the top 10. And now
look at
the
that.
margin.
7 tenths on lap 17. And 7 tenths on 16 as well. So that's not mistakes. That's just pace. Just really pace. I know the boys. I've been talking to Phil Worley, and he said they've been working really, really hard with Ben, trying to get the car set up for him, and he's certainly doing a great job. And he's got a good team. They're working as a team. That's what this whole championship is about. Not just the guys driving, but they've got their test drivers. They've got their silver drivers in Phil Worley, who couldn't be here tonight, but he does a lot of development work with them as well. And they're all working together to try and get this car just absolutely on the money, because it's got to be, because you've got people like Daniel Harris just within incredible amount of speed. Look at the gap that Ben Roberts has pulled out now. 3.1 seconds. They were side by side for most of the race. 3.1 seconds. That's a huge gap all of a sudden. So he's just put the hammer down. It's hammer time from Roberts.
Yep, punching his weight and seeing how far he can skip down the road as well. And the other key is, and I think the big factor is it's a brand new car. Normally if it's an older car, something we've had for a number of seasons, there's setups that are relatively close. You can just go, yep, I'll just tweak that a little bit, take a little tick of wing off, add a little bit of extra tick of a wing back, you know, but you can't do that with this car. There's only a couple weeks worth of data.
Exactly, and people like VRS, Virtual Racing School, who deliver setups and you can buy and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, there's a bank of knowledge out there about the cars, but this thing's brand new. So, you know, I've, like me, doing the setup for Silver, I've got nothing to go from. I've just got to take it out and sort of work from the base and sort of try and get the car balanced and get as much wing off it as I can without making it unruly. But there's nothing to go from. You're going from a complete green screen, and that's fantastic, because we're seeing what true setup ability in between the teams is. I know you said Daniel Harris was really struggling at the first race, and you know, with setup, and he found something, and yeah, that's awesome. That's what's making this whole championship.
Well, cars are going to be starting to come into the pit lane. We'll see some pit strategy certainly playing its part. And at the moment, traffic is playing a big part for our leaders as it currently stands. And for Jack Mara, still cannot close on Lee Zeltwanger. And then don't forget these guys that are battling further down as well.
Yeah, look, I'm really impressed by Jack Mara's showing tonight. And Jack struggled a little bit at the first round, but he certainly, you know, put up a great showing. So into pit lane comes Roberts, and right behind him is Harris.
Yep, so that battle out on the racetrack now going to be solved through the lane. Who's going to kick on? It's Jack Mara. Everyone else pits, and Jack Mara says, all right, I've done some fuel saving, boys. I want to lead a lap. And lead a lap,
can we just say, Jack Mara leads the race. We're going to do it just for him. Before he goes in the pits.
Wow, still counts. And at the end of it, I'm sure he'll pipe up and say, and I'd like to thank Snackachangi.
Now, what's the gap? Roberts is out of the pit lane. Here comes Harris. It was 3 seconds when they went in. What's the gap now?
It's 5.5 seconds, 6 seconds between these two guys. My lord. Ben Roberts, only 7.8. 4.5 seconds pit says to me that Daniel Harris took tyres. So he's saying that tyres are going to be enough of a factor in this race, and his tyres were dying off.
You can get the tyres pretty warm on this, but it really takes 2.5 laps before you can really three laps before you really get top pace out of it. Until then, it's probably a second off the pace. So you're going to drop a couple of 3, 4, 5 seconds getting the tyres warmed up.
Well, the key factor right here is that Kalen Chin did not take tyres and had a very similar pit lane time to that of Ben Roberts, and now Chin has popped out ahead of Zeltwanger. And Lillis has grabbed a spot as well, I believe. So no, Lillis might have actually taken tyres as well. So it looks like the Fiercely Forward guys were some of the only ones to take tyres. You and Baker might have taken tyres as well.
Be worth watching Jack Mara. How quick can Jack get in and out of that lane?
Well, if Jack cannot take tyres now, and he'll have pit stop times, and he'll be able to look at them. They tend to have the data. To the lane comes Jack Mara. Will he go up on the Jacks? That will be the decider. If he stays off the Jacks and fuel only, he will pop back out ahead.
I don't think he'll take tyres. Roberts comes up, goes back past Mara, who's in the lane, but it's the battle between Mara is, can he get out in front of Kalen Chin and Lee Zeltwanger?
There'll be no tyres taken in.
So just fuel. Just fuel.
Short stop here. Now where's Zeltwanger as he comes on the run down towards turn number 1? First, the Fiercely Forward cars goes through. It's Daniel Harris. Where does Kalen Chin pop out? And all of a sudden, Lee Zeltwanger was sitting on track to make it 2 podiums.
Mara's out in front of Chin. Mara's got back out in front of Kalen Chin and in front of Lee Zeltwanger. So Jack Mara's now on the podium.
And both of the Fiercely Forward cars took tyres. None of the competitors around them. They'll have fresh rubber at the tail end of the race, but we're running out of time. There's 8 minutes left on the clock. And that is not going to be enough time to get tyres up to temperature and get them working for you and then start to see the benefit. I think he's in trouble as Zeltwanger. He's just over a second back from Kalen Chin. And don't forget, Chin's now got some damage repaired as well. He could have pace. He could look to challenge Jack Mara.
Yeah, because his car will be fixed now. He's done a fast repair while he's in the pits, which is really smart, I think. Yeah, so he's done the repair. The car should have some pace again now. There's a great battle here between Danny Davison and Sam Sutton.
And this is for the
there's
last
a track over on the left there, boys.
As they come through Marquez and on the run down to the cutout in the GP track down here.
Yeah,
through the left-hander second.
Love that left-hander.
And, well, I said it might be for
who's
the
that
last
running
points.
really wide there?
It was Ryan Carlson.
Ryan Carlson.
Getting out of everyone's way. Might not have fuel. I think he might be out of fuel.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. So I think he's got one drive through and just copped the second one by the looks of it. So, oh, dear, not his day. But he's trying to go down the outside there. I'm not sure about that. You're going to try and cut back in underneath, but you can't really get that too wide run up here. You just got to try and get good exit speed and get a bit of a run on the guy here. So you might be able to get through him into turn one. Now, up the inside. So there's extra drive up there.
Well, now he's going to be on the inside at the run down to turn number one for Sam Sutton. Gets the job done on Danny Davison. And I said it was for the last of the points.
Yep.
And it might have been for the placings for the 2 and 1 points respectively for 9th and 10th. Well, it's actually going to be a spot further forward for both of them because Ewan Baker's only 5 seconds down the road. 10-second penalties for Ewan Baker as well. So he'll drop back and will finish 10th as it currently stands for Ewan Baker. So it'll be 1 point at least on the board. But those guys will be fighting it out. There's more fights further back in the pack. There might be no points on the cards, but you try telling that to these drivers.
Yeah, Bailey Evans there, 20th place and still fighting like he's got 1 foot on the podium. So,
and up in front, it's turned into the Ben Roberts show. The margin's now 7.5 seconds. It's now 8 seconds.
Brilliant drive.
Forget that. He's gone. He's disappearing into the Spanish sunset.
But let's not count any hatches, and don't count your eggs until they've hatched. He's got to get at the finish line. He's got to keep it straight. It's easy to get involved in somebody else's accident. It's easy to make a mistake. So these guys are pushing really hard, but they're looking really good. They've both driven beautifully, but Ben just seemed to have that extra little bit of pace tonight. And once he got back in front of Daniel Harris, the show was over.
Well, have a look at Lee Zeltwanger now as he starts to close in on Kalen Chin. So the tyres are starting to respond. But whether or not Kalen Chin might have put a little bit too little fuel in because there was a huge time gain in the final sector, whether or not that might have been just a little bit of the draft helping them out. Both wide at turn number one as they try to get these cars turned in and tipped and turned towards the middle sector of the lap. Zeltwanger's going to have fresh rubber and he will have pace. Kalen Chin's finally got a car underneath him, but sometimes you start driving around quirks in the car and then you've got to readjust for not having them. So whether or not Kalen Chin's in a little bit of a mindset bubble at the moment, he'll have a defense masterclass to put on. Won the race last week, in drama this week, still sitting fourth and will score a bank of points no matter what.
I'm really enjoying the difference in Silver and Pro, with Silver being the fixed setup where everybody's got exactly the same setup on the car. But in Pro, there's the quirks and differences between vehicles. Danny Davison's gone round after battling so long with Sam Sutton, and now he's lost it. Now Drew Collins is going to be on the back of him. But the difference in the setups in these cars, who's that round? Somebody big.
Kalen Chin's just gone around. That's Kalen Chin.
Big
so he'll
speed.
drop out of 4th spot. He drops to 5th. He drops to 6th as Lillis goes through as well. Lachlan Taylor's the lapped car who's just in front of Lillis. He'll sidestep the whole bunch of them.
Oh, look at that.
They'll get back to
Class act, Lachlan.
Kalen Chin has got hot tyres at the rear end of this thing. We're under 5 minutes left to go. There'll be 2 more laps of racing action.
He will be kicking himself.
Well, he will be kicking himself. He was looking at challenging Jack Mara in the dying stages of that one.
He's going to have one back here. Yep. Deep under brakes. Really nice. Hooks it in, tight on the curb. Beautiful run out. Now, replay here.
Danny
bottom
Davis,
is Danny Davis has just lost it on the exit. Up the top, let's have a look at Kalen Chin. Is that Kalen Chin in the bottom? Kalen Chin And what's gone on here? Next corner, he comes up here. It's that downhill left-hander, that really high-speed one. It's pretty easy to make. Oh, he's touched the curb. He's touched the curb on the inside. He's lucky because I touched that curb a couple of times and ended up in the fence. It's about 40 feet to the right. And it's, you know, it is really unsettling. It's quite a big curb and the car's really unsettled. So that was a pretty good effort to control that and keep it under, you know, minimise the damage that, not the car damage, but the damage to his position on the road. So pretty good driving there from Carlin Chin.
Well, now he's going to have a little bit of a problem as Lillis is definitely in behind him. And remember, those rear tyres are going to be a little bit all over the place.
Had a big step out
to get the power underneath him as he had a tank slapper on the exit. Konomas now starts to climb in to this battle as well. So this now becomes a three-way battle for P5. Chin is going to try and skip clear, but the next problem he's going to have is he's offering a mega tow to the two drivers in behind him. We could be on for action down at the hairpin. In the meantime, our race leader on the run to the hairpin will get the white flag for one more lap left to run this time by. It's Ben Roberts. He's gone. He's into the sunset. He might be celebrating by the Mediterranean Sea in 1 lap's time. But for now, he's going to get there. Dan Harris has run a reasonable race in second, and not much he can really do about that one. Mara's in third, looking comfortable. But Zellweger has made time, but he's running out of time to make that rubber count.
Yeah, no, I think Mara's done a fabulous job there to get himself into third, because I don't think he's actually had a bit of pace in the middle of the race, but he hasn't had the pace of these guys in front, and yet there he is in their mirrors. So what a fabulous job, 4 seconds back off Harris after all those laps, 45 minutes of racing. To be 4 seconds back is not a lot, is it?
No, and have a look at Kenny Konomas now, who's starting to really get onto the rear bumper of Harris and Lillis.
Enjoying this.
These guys on the last lap of the race are going to go toe-to-toe. Ewan Baker's about 5 seconds back. Has a 10-second
drive there.
Will fall to ninth position.
Watch him try and slide down the inside here. He'll try and slide down the inside. No. Nope.
And now Konomas is setting him up. It's all about staying in touching distance into the final sector. What is Harrison going to do when he gets there? He's got a smidge of tow at the moment. He's getting something off the car ahead. It's Kalen Chin, but he's not getting enough. He's not getting enough to keep him in position. And now Kenny Konomas is going to make some decisions. When is he going to pull out? When is he going to have a go? Is it a crisscross onto the back straight as they settle their way onto Marquez Corner for the final time tonight? It's Kenny Konomas versus Harrison Lillis. It'll be for 6th place. It will be for a bank of points. Who's going to get there? Well, questions will be answered in half a lap's time. In the meantime, Ben Roberts.
Oh, he's made an early move down into the left-hander and he's through.
Konomas gets to the inside.
Snatched that spot. Can he hold it down that long straight? That's pretty brave move to do that right then, because I would have sat back and waited for the long straight, because, you know, this is the place you want to be in front at the end of this. Now he's got the toe behind him. He's going to have to make him go down the outside.
Yeah, and it's now all in Harrison Lewis's corners. Konomas covers to the inside. The overspeed starts to kick in.
And
Ben Roberts is going to win it.
For the win.
But in the meantime, we want to keep our eyes deeper in the field. That 6th place battle, and it is going to go side by side. Konomas goes mega deep.
Gone wide.
Into the hairpin. They both went deep for a last lap overtake. Lillis pulls the car up, gets the job done, and that is 6th place for Harrison Lillis. But what a battle with Kenny Konomas on the last lap. That was outstanding, fellas.
That was fabulous. That's why we chose this layout, not the more normal MotoGP short circuit with the big sweeping last corner. This creates this fantastic diving under brakes into this hip, and then that awkward run up onto the straight. It's perfect for a last lap. Look at this, everybody just last lap diving into that. Scott Bartane trying to get through. Here's another one. The next guys are like Beswick, and they're touching as they go down into the pit, into the hairpin, and there's a lock and they're in together, and it's one after the other. Last lap down at the hairpin. Here comes the next load.
Not done, not sorted just yet. There's still more cars still battling away at the tail end of the pack. And Doyle is going to be a part of it, as he's going to cross the line in 21st as it stands. Manages to hold off Giuliano Sinanese. But that is about all they write when they come to Aragon. The hills of Aragon proclaim Ben Robert their champion. Dan Harris had speed, couldn't get the job done in race trim. Caleb Bellex lost the rear wing on the final lap.
What a great race.
That was some of the best racing.
I was sick.
That was really good.
That was so good. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And Ben Roberts takes the MotoGP layout to get back to the start-finish line a little bit earlier and celebrate with some six kids, as the boys were talking last week.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of people celebrating. So a lot of people putting into this for Simrigs and for backing Ben Roberts and helping him out. And Ben just doing a beautiful job there. It's such a calculator. Did not put a foot wrong. That move was a pretty big move around the outside off the track. But, you know, he pulled it off and then he just put his head down and just drove away. Just brilliant, brilliant effort. Daniel Harris, hold your head high. Great race. Didn't, you know, he conceded when he had to, and mate, he gave everything for that. And Jack Mara, what a brilliant, brilliant effort to just sit there in third place, stay out of trouble, make that move in the pit lane was brilliant. He made, you know, great time in the pit lane. What a fabulous race.
Well, that's how they crossed the start-finish line. Daniel Harris slapped tyres on to see if he could go and chase down Ben Roberts. Was the only way he was even going to have a shout. And it didn't work for him. Continued to drop off the pace. 8.6 seconds back from Ben Roberts. Jack Barra gets in there. In not taking tyres worked out for him. Zeltwanger finishes in fourth. He'll be regretting that call to take tyres because that was the difference between himself and the podium. Kalen Chin had a dramatic final stint and had the opportunity to potentially challenge Jack Mara in the dying stages, which went by the wayside. Harrison Lillis, Kenny Kanomas, what a last lap battle between those two. Ewan Baker finishes in 8th, 26 seconds. We'll get 10 seconds added to his time, finishes behind Sam Sutton. So it'll be Sam Sutton in 8th in the overall standings, and Danny Davison nicks himself a point in 10th spot. As we flip over the page, Tyson Broad had an okay night, very quiet night, but a successful night in terms of things. Finishes 11th, misses out on the points. Corey Bennett from Ben Holiday. Scott Bartine was regularly in the conversations for some interesting battle packs after missing a wing on lap 1. Scored a bank of points last week. Will at least keep him relevant. Eddie Beswick from Matthew Keane. We saw that battle on the last lap. Kobe Williams was backwards early on in the piece, never recovered. Needed a safety car, as did Bailey Evans, and it didn't go their way. Nathan Norman from Sean Doyle rounding out the top 20. We'll throw it over to the next page as well. Will be Giuliano Sinese from Caleb Dawson, Drew Collins. Caleb Bellick missing a wing, did make it to the start finish line. John Monday, Lachlan Taylor, the first of the cars, 1 lap down. Carlson at 2, Caleb Hydes +4, and the retirements were Sam Chapman. And that rounds us out in terms of those results and standings. That was a banger. I thoroughly enjoyed that, Dave. And we'll get to talk to our podium, starting from the bottom end of town with Jack Mara and tonight's third place finisher. Jack was a quiet night at the office, aggressive on lap number 1 with all the overtakes going down into that first corner. You expect that with Formula 3 racing, but you were just there. You kept yourself relevant and you kept yourself in contention. And that was the key thing. Never take myself out. And that's why you're sitting on the podium here tonight.
Absolutely. Look, you've got to be punchy. If there's one thing I know about racing a beige race car, you just got to get in the mix. And look, we did that tonight. Get in the mix when you need to and sit back. Just pick your moments. That's what it's all about.
And occasionally reek over on that long straight for a few Snackachangi chips, I'm sure.
Absolutely. It definitely wasn't cooling the car up or just being worried about blowing the engine up. But no, the chips on the side definitely helped.
You had a pretty quick pit stop there, Jack.
Yeah, well, I was out of fuel, but I was stuttering down the pit lane. I think just going the extra lap, maybe saved a second or two in the stop. But that was a nice surprise to come out a place ahead of where I went in.
Yeah, excellent.
In terms of things, the overtaking moves down into the hairpin, it took a cool head to keep yourself out of trouble, and a little bit of luck as well. I mean, you saw, was it Bailey Evans just go ping-ponging off down the inside and Kalen Chin with him, but at the same time, making sure that you don't get involved in those incidents, that will make a champion. You've got to score points at just about every single round, and good job there tonight. A few moments like that throughout the piece.
Yeah, 100% that moment particularly. I thought I'm going to brake as late as I can, and if anyone's brake later, I know they're going to have a crash. So I kind of saw that happen and thought, you know what, I won't turn into the apex just yet. We'll let them skate on by, and luckily, yeah, we got through that. But yeah, as you say, if you can't win them all, at least finish them all, and then we'll go from there, see how we go.
mate, in terms of things, Aragon, I think, is going to be one of those races that a lot of people look back to and celebrate. For you, it's now about thanking the sponsors that make it possible for you. You've got a new teammate this year. It's Ewan Baker. He's been quick. He's been scoring points together. So I'll let you two thank the sponsors that make it possible for you.
Yeah, look, so quite exciting. The announcement of F3A Pro having a 2-car team. Thought, look, we need to make a wee alliance here. So Kiwi Sim Racing and DSR linked up to create. I'm not going to call it a powerhouse just yet because not quite there yet. But like a nice little team. Ewan's been awesome. Pumping out some nice liveries. Kiwi Sim Racing's got all their sponsors, the Speed Nation on the car. So that's awesome. And of course, Snacky Change, it's not gone, but it's just hiding in the background, you know. The Boffins are hard at work creating the new flavours, so look, we'll let them do their work. But thanks again to you guys for putting the show on. It's nice to be back up on the wheel of the F3 car.
Thank you for putting the show on. I think you did a pretty good job yourself.
Oh, cheers, mate.
Thanks for your time, Jack, and as always, thanks for the beautiful interview. And I don't think there's a sponsor talked as positively about Up and Down the Lane as a pretty unique relationship you got with Snacker Chang. You keep that one going for us.
Oh, will do, mate. That's not hard to do, though. Keep feeding me chips. Happy days.
All right, we're going to take one step further forward and talk to the driver who's finished second 2 times in a row. It's going to be the driver of the number 22 for Fiercely Forward, and I get the feeling he said, I'm a little bit disappointed with that, but to be honest, Dano, again, there was a little bit of panic in your voice when I was speaking to you earlier in the night. Somebody's found something in terms of setup, but the results still came your way.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy, to be honest. The lap that I set in quali, I was pretty happy with. I was almost scared I wasn't going to get it in. I was pretty tight on the track limits, but got it in, and then I saw Ben go out again, and I was like, yeah, cool, he's going to take pole, whatever. I'll just try and keep with him. At the start, and did that, was able to overtake him, and I could tell he was just kind of biding his time, because as soon as he got in front of me, he was away. They had an incredible setup. There was nothing we could do last minute to change it, but we got it down pat, and we'll take the points.
Talk to us about your race preparations here tonight, because less than an hour before jumping into the practice server, you were chilling and playing other video games with other mates. How important is that to a pre-race prep? Got to be relaxed, got to be cool, got to be calm, and you certainly were when I was speaking to you an hour ago.
Yeah, I don't know if Siege is the right game when you're trying to stay calm, but no, it was just I'd just done a bit of practice trying to adjust the setup. Found something that I liked. Sent it over to Liam, was like, yeah, cool, I'm going to just take a break before we jump into the session. We obviously have an hour practice before the quali and everything, so we take that one, try a couple, 1 or 2 things in that, and then go into the race. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say about this race. It was it's pretty good. Lee told me about, just as I was fighting Ben, I was trying to keep with him, and he goes, oh, just take the P2. I'm like, you know what, you're right, I'm just going to back off, and that's when he started to pull away.
Daniel, when you pitted, did you take tyres in that pit stop?
Yeah. Lee and I hadn't done any pit stop prep or anything, so in reality, I looked at the F5 screen or whatever it is for tyres, tyre wear. Neither of us needed to take tyres, but we didn't know that, so we took tyres. Ben didn't, Kalen didn't, Jack certainly didn't. And I think most of the top 10 did not take tyres, so we kind of just lucked out in the end.
Yeah, I think you got away with it. I think it hurt Lee a little bit. It looked like he
it's not a mistake we're going to make twice, that's for sure. No. We will certainly be doing testing to ensure that doesn't happen.
Mate, in terms of things, I know your rig's set up out in the garage out there, so how was the environment around you there tonight? Was the heat up a little bit? Was there a little bit of dampness in the air in terms of things? What was the humidity like?
I was certainly sweating quite a little bit. Yeah, no, I mean, I really enjoyed the fight with Ben, but it was quite hard to keep him at bay. I kept him at bay for, I don't even know how many laps it was.
Quite a lot.
Almost 10 laps. I'll take that. Quite frankly, nothing really going on. I have to be quiet for like the first half of the race because this is still an office. So we kind of just try and keep the comms little, and then get into it second half.
The good news for you is that Fiercely Forward, as a team, top scorer by 8 points tonight. So well done.
Thank you. We will take that.
I believe actually that might be the team championship lead by 8 points is maybe the way we were debating things as it currently stands. But in terms of things here tonight, mate, big thank you to you for joining us. Who are the sponsors that make it possible for you?
Sorry, I've just read the YouTube chat. We don't really have too many sponsors. I'll just say a massive thank you to Nikolai Rojevu, once again helping me with the setup. Obviously wasn't perfect compared to Ben's, but we got it to a really nice point. Ali helped me, Ali Hunt helped me with that last minute setup change. And then not really anyone else, just thanks to, I got some mates watching at home, so thanks to them for tuning in.
When you walk in, I've actually been over and met Daniel and met all his pets and his lovely family that are over there. Make sure you walk in and give all the dogs a big pat. And they're the biggest fans, really, I think.
Just for you, Scott. Just for you.
He's got a lovely collection of puppy dogs. So, yeah, I'll have to send you photos of my new puppy when I get it next week. So, anyway, thank you very much for your time, Dano. Pleasure chatting to you as usual.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for the broadcast.
I tell you what, he actually lives on a farm. He's got a ton of animals. I spent more time patting puppy dogs than I did talking to him whilst I was there. So now we're going to chat to our race winner from tonight. It's the man that lives on the team with the debatable best bid in sim racing. The boys were looking good, got it done in terms of the silver split, and then Ben Roberts comes down, puts the loud pedal a little bit harder to the floor. Was that the advice that Andrew Dyson was giving you there, Ben?
No, not really. Just wanted us to keep it clean and bring it home.
Pretty big move around the outside to take the lead. Used plenty of road.
Yeah.
Survived a little investigation.
Yeah, he certainly made me work for it. I had to use up a few incident points, to get by him and to try and pull away. But after that, it was clean. No more incidents after that.
Yeah, the incidents around here are quite easy to get suckered into, aren't they?
Yes, especially if you're trying to push for times. If you just focus on just trying to get a clean lap in and drive clean, or you'll be fine.
Yeah, no, was a pretty tough fight to get that lead back after the first lap, to get back in front of him. Once you got in front of him, you obviously had the pace and the car looked good, you looked good, and you looked pretty untroubled. But getting back into that lead was a really tough job.
Yeah, at first I didn't want to. I just wanted to sort of stay behind him until the pit stop. But I saw that his teammate Lee was catching. I didn't want to get caught up in sort of a team sandwich there. So I just wanted to try and break out of that.
Mate, in terms of things, what is it about Aragon that really lends itself to your speciality? Because it's just one of those tracks that's got a little bit of everything, doesn't it? There's the tight sections, there's the dropaways, the fast-flowing corners, and I think the technical braking zones. It's a track you've got to be good and talented as a driver. You can't hide around here.
Yeah, I think the braking zone's probably the best thing for me. I'm not usually sort of on the brakes, hard braking. Sort of, it's not great, but being able to use sort of the apron to help the car turn in without using as much brake is certainly something I've practiced a lot, so yeah, that helped a lot.
Mate, in terms of the championship, this moves you up the echelons a little bit, but from the team's championship, not a good night for your teammates. It's tough and tricky, and you've got to survive those opening laps in the early on stoushes. What's the focus? Is it individual performances, or is it going to be that combined team performance as the season progresses?
Yeah, I mean, individual, of course. Bailey and I both want to do well. Bailey had a rough night, but I know he can bounce back. And as we work each week to work on setups, we'll give each other advice and just help each other just cool down and just try and get laps in.
Yeah, so do you and Bailey sort of like the car set up pretty much the same way? Do you both drive a similar sort of car?
Yeah, pretty much. We really the only difference is brake bias. But other than that, sort of they're pretty much the same.
Interesting. Cool.
Right, and then finally, a couple weeks. No, it will be actually next week. We'll be back again as we head to Fuji for our next round, which is going to be another fast-flowing track with a lot of straight lines. How's the confidence levels heading to Japan next week?
Done a few laps at Fuji, but never done a race there. Been around other cars there, so it'll be certainly interesting to see how things go.
Yeah,
Mate,
very
congratulations.
big long straight and a really big braking area, just like this one.
Mate,
Yeah,
congratulations on the race result there tonight, and floor is all yours to thank the sponsors that make it possible for the simrigs.com DPR team.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, simrigs.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoist, Benmax Mechanical, NP Designs, and of course all my teammates, Daiso, PJ, all the other guys serve iRacing in this league, but are always willing to help us out. Guys in silver did an awesome job, so congrats to them, and you guys as well for putting this on, and allowing other people to see this and see this great racing.
Mate, thank you very much for your time, and I'm sure we'll be chatting again sometime in the near future. Congratulations on the race win. Ladies and gentlemen, Ben Roberts from Simrigs DPR.
Thanks a lot, boys.
And finally, that is just about going to wrap it up here. Another 45 minutes, this time from Europe. Next time out, we'll be jumping across to the Pacific as we head to Fuji. I tell you what, Fuji is fast. You talked about it. We'll be running the layout with the chicane as well.
Yes.
In the tail end of the second sector, and that long front straightaway, we have the potential to see cars get past halfway down the front straight and then past again before they get to turn one, which is the unique layout of Fuji there, Dave.
Yeah, and that first corner, it's a really high speed down the straight, really big braking area, but it's actually quite a fast corner. It's not a sharp hairpin like was here tonight. It's a reasonably quick hairpin, so I think it's a second gear rather than first gear. But some of the sweepy bits around the back are just so full noise, so full on. Be interested to see what they run as far as downforce levels, because you need a bit of grip, you need a bit of aero on to make the back work, but you've got to be quick down that front straight. Wonder how quick Daniel Harris will be next week.
And the other thing is, will Kalen Chin be in the resurgence with rain back in the offing? When it rains, it pours at Fuji. It's never going to be light in terms of things, and Formula One tells us the history of all that's gone on there. What's it going to look like in terms of the weather output? You'll have to join us next week as we go racing from Fuji for Formula 3 2024 round number 3. And we'll sign off now and see you all again next Wednesday night, ladies and gents. See you all then.
Same time, same place next week.